Friends, welcome back to the Blessed Family Podcast. Sorry we've been out of pocket a while, running around doing all kinds of fun stuff, but definitely want to get back to you guys, our dear friends and brothers in arms who are shoulder to shoulder with us, endeavoring to disciple the nations, primarily by discipling our children and having families that glorify God by being a representation of Christ in the church. Welcome. Merry Christmas. Today is Christmas Eve. And we have a special guest today. He's been on the show before. It's been a couple years ago. He is a former Prime Minister of England, a World War I commander and veteran, a great author, a wonderful historian. Friends, I give you Mr. Winston Churchill. Prime Minister, welcome. How are you?
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm doing very well and very happy to be here.
You know, it's been a few years, as I said, Prime Minister, since we spoke. What have you been up to lately?
Reading. Mainly. I still write from time to time, but mainly reading.
Are you still smoking cigars and drinking, sir?
Indeed. Brandy is my beverage of choice.
I see. Have you heard about this latest election we just had?
Ah, yes, this Trump fellow has gotten into office once again. He's a good lad and knows how to lead and fight. I think he'll do well.
You know, you were a fighter during your time of leadership in Britain.
Oh, yes. We had a lot to fight against in my time, as we do today. I fought with my words, mainly. Hitler was taking countries during the weekend while leaders in England were taking their weekends in the country. Something had to be done. And so I rallied the people to adopt a strategy of victory at whatever cost. Failure or compromise, they weren't an option, sir.
Well, it sure seemed that your strategy worked.
Oh, yes, quite.
So what do you think of these modern times? And I'm always curious to get your take on what's going on today.
It is curious that you ask such a question. I was just reflecting to myself not too long ago that these modern times have vast vast technology, but very little ability of thought. No one today can think out a logical argument. No one today can walk through, what a writer has laid out. I wonder if 1,000 years from now, people will look back at the 21st century as a kind of dark ages. That is a dark age of thinking and knowledge.
That's a fascinating thought, Prime Minister. So you say people might look back and see this as a dark age. Let's say we are in a dark age, not of technology, but of thought. What would you recommend would be the cure for such a situation?
Well, I would answer in the words of my fellow Englishman, C.S. Lewis, who said, the only cure is to keep the clean sea breeze of the centuries blowing through our minds. And this can only be done by reading old books.
Well, that's quite a statement, sir.
Yes, it's likely my favorite of Lewis's, and it is indeed true. The only way to turn this modern dark age into an age of light is to learn to think the way we did in the ages of Christendom. And so we need to read their writings. Lewis saw that he was in the beginning of the modern dark ages and had the wisdom to give us this understanding and instruction.
You know, sir, it's funny that you talk about old books. My eldest son, who I believe you've met, Jared II, is currently going to a school where they read old books.
Oh, really? Where?
It's called New St. Andrews. It's in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh, yeah, New St. Andrews. You don't mean that school begun by that Wilson chap, do you?
Yeah, yes, sir, Douglas Wilson.
Oh, my. He has, in my opinion, learned how to weaponize and mobilize the English language. It reminds me a bit of myself, actually. What is your son studying there in New St. Andrews?
It's a classical education, sir.
Yeah, that is honestly the best. Yeah, people must learn how to think. We must learn how to, not what to believe, but how to believe and how to learn what to believe. Back in the day, we called it the free man's education. for it is the education that keeps people free.
Prime Minister, in our last interview, we spoke of how you helped destroy the Nazi agenda. As you know, Nazism is still dead to this day. It's pretty much been annihilated, and I think it always will be. I personally don't see Nazism coming back. Communism, however, has been alive and well ever since you won the war. What do you think about this fact? What do you think about communism?
It is both ironic and devastating. Nazism, the Nazi regime was pure evil, and yet communism is in many ways worse. We were so exhausted after the war that we wanted peace at all costs, and so we ignored the Iron Curtain that Stalin had built. We, as the Allies, did. I warned them, but they ignored it. And now, in hindsight, I see just how wrong them stepping aside truly was. Stalin became our ally out of necessity, much like making a deal with the devil. We knew back then that it is better to have a world united than a world divided. But alas, now that I see that it is better to have a world divided than a world that is destroyed.
What would you say, sir? Excuse me. What would you say is the main issue or problem with communism itself as a system of thought?
It leaves out any sense of morality. It leaves out God and substitutes man. And man is the devil incarnate, in our world today. And therefore it substitutes hate for love. You cannot have a good, just, and free society without God. A good worldview must come with the reality that there is a God who is judge and lawgiver, and that all men are made in his image.
And so what would your words be for communist here in America?
Oh, you damned fools is all that comes to my mind. They throw away the blessings of their forefathers for shackles worse than they can imagine. They unknowingly welcome and encourage death and destruction. That's the words, you damned fools.
Many people don't know just the damage that was caused.
It was truly devastating. Our world after the World War II was in turmoil because of the communists, because of the Soviet regime, Red China, the Vietnam War, the Korean War. All of these were started because of the communists trying to expand their empire and enslave the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all that insight, Prime Minister. As we wrap up here, I just want to mention, as I said earlier, that we are recording this on Christmas Eve. Are you a fan of this holiday, Christmas?
Yeah, of course. Christmas is the event that changed everything. We celebrate the birth of Christ, our King, Savior, King and Savior of the world. His words and truth are the foundation of all liberty and blessings. Yes, Christmas is a season not only of rejoicing but of reflection. We have finished this year. What will the next hold for us? How will we shape it? Will we continue to trudge forward in our folly and ignorance and stupidity? Or will people, especially God's people, mind you, learn how to disciple the nations? Will fathers turn the hearts of their children, and the children turn their hearts back to their fathers? Will we read and write good books? Will we make it our aim to shape family, church, or state in a way that brings blessing?
I sure do hope so, sir. This has been such a great joy. Winston, it's always good.
Oh, shoot.
Bless you, sir. It's always good to have you on the air with us. And I know you have a cold right now, but
yes.
You're nearly 130, perhaps 140. I think we lost track. But so, what do you have planned for the rest of the day, this Christmas Eve, and Marble Falls, Texas.
Oh, just a short walk downtown, I think, down the main street. Cigar, too, hopefully, overlooking the lake, and we may encounter some carolers to enjoy. Maybe a sermon to listen to here midway through the week.
Well, it should have sounded like a great time, sir. Hopefully we can have you on the show again.
I hope so as well. Thank you, sir.
All right, friends. Well, once again, hope you enjoy our podcast. It's not every day you get to talk to the greatest leader, in my family's opinion, of the 20th century, Winston Churchill. Goodbye to each of you, and may you have a blessed and Merry Christmas. Farewell.